Dire team ban.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the last day of the Douyu Cup. We're going to start things off with a best of three, Vici Gaming Potential versus Newbee, which is going to answer two things. One, who is going to be going up against Tongfu, who are currently waiting in the finals, and two, is the winning team's playstyle going to be good enough to actually beat Tongfu, should they actually make it to the grand finals? I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by GrandisV. Dude, I think this one is probably going to be the most even series of the tournament. If there's ever going to be a best of three that goes to game three, it's probably going to be this one.
Yeah, there is the X factor that Vici Gaming have a stand-in for their team. They're going to have 11 as their fifth player, and I'm not sure how that's going to change the roles on their team. He is replacing Lin, who would usually be going mid for Vici Gaming Potential, but I don't think that 11 plays mid for the team that he plays for, which is eHome's academy team. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they adjust everything. But yeah, as you said, this should be a very even matchup. As far as the last two times these teams met in the Douyu Cup, Vici Gaming took both of those series, 1-2-1 and 1-2-0.
Well, we'll see if they could repeat it again. It is always hard working with the stand-in. I don't know how much they are familiar with the stand-in. Hopefully, quite a deal familiar with each other. But I don't actually know that much about eHome K. In fact, this is the first time I'm hearing them. It's kind of a quietly kept secret of these Chinese kind of academy student teams, but hopefully they'll be good regardless of that fact. So we'll see what their draft is going to look like. Bounty Hunter, Lina, and Dazzle all taking rather early bans. With a Gyrocopter first pick, I can't imagine Newbee will grab anything but a Tusk.
Ooh, instead of a Tusk, it's on a Shadow Fiend Winter Wyvern opener for Newbee Young. Still very strong in its own right, but this is going to leave things like Tusk, Undying, Queen of Pain, Storm Spirit, all sorts of very highly sought-after heroes for Vici Gaming Potential to pick through, and they're going to go for the Tusk. No surprises there.
And then I'm pretty sure all those other heroes that you just listed off are going to be banned out. Maybe Newbee Young are, they're maybe going to be okay with the Queen of Pain with the Shadow Fiend matchup, who knows, but overall, these are probably still, like, they're incredibly powerful heroes to be picked up first, so I don't think the weird first bans are going to be impacting this game too much. The openings are actually fairly even on power level, with a Tusk for Vici Gaming going towards offlane, or even playing that support role with a Gyrocopter. Either one can be super deadly. Even that, I think the support role, perhaps even more so, you just snowball in with a Rocket Barrage hero, and, well, I don't know who you're going towards, but that hero is probably going to die.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a Darkseer next for Newbee Young. Combos decently well with the Shadow Fiend, the Winter Wyvern, but in general just going to be a solid offlaner. And Storm Spirit, since it's still available, will be picked up against Vici Gaming Potential. Good hero against Shadow Fiend, can get on top of the Winter Wyvern, focus her down before the start of the fight, and in general just a strong initiator.
And then Newbee Young grabbed a Darkseer. I really like the Storm Spirit here from Vici Gaming. I'm actually surprised that someone like a Night Stalker was banned out instead. Like Queen of Pain, that's fine. You could ban that one out all day long, and no one's really going to bat an eye. But Storm Spirit is so good versus the Shadow Fiend, and also really good at now the Darkseer pickup. Like Surge is usually a pretty good tool at helping your allies escape, but when there's so much mobility in the form of Storm Spirit, and when Newbee Young don't actually have that much disable, they only have the curse from the Winter Wyvern, which is nice, but you would really want a little bit more. Then this Storm Spirit looks like you get away with a lot. Newbee Young are going to have to grab someone like a Lion to kind of compensate their CC.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be a Shadow Shaman for them. Although usually we'll see Lion instead of the Shadow Shaman, it's going to offer just about as much disable as his other Hexing counterpart, and a little bit more pushing power to the Newbee Young mix.
It's an interesting draft we're seeing here from Newbee Young. The CC certainly is nice from the Shadow Shaman, but overall I would say Lion a little bit more of a solid hero if your plan is not necessarily to go for pushing. It doesn't seem like Newbee Young really have that in mind. Vici Gaming are going to fourth pick a Rubik, which is a little bit late perhaps for a Rubik pick, but hey, you have Rubik and now a Gyrocopter. Going up against the Darkseer, you could just wait until he surges and then lift him up, put him in the rockets, and then, well, goodbye Darkseer. So it's, yeah, I think overall, slightly stronger draft right now for Vici Gaming, I feel.
Yeah, just with the raw power level of their heroes. Yeah, I think Vici Gaming Potential are going to be pretty comfortable, but that's not to say that Newbee Young can't remedy this fact. The last ban coming up from Vici Gaming Potential, I think it's a very smart one. It's going to be the Ember Spirit ban coming up from them. Then they'll go straight into the Juggernaut. Pretty interesting there. The Ember Spirit Darkseer combination is very scary, and I'm I'm glad to see VG Gaming will respect that, but Juggernaut for the last pick. It's been very popular over the course of this tournament. He's been cropping up every once in a while. Let's see how he performs this game. There is a lot of disable, and even through spin, they can cancel spin TP with the Tusk.
Yeah, it should be an okay game for the Juggernaut. He's really been pretty much swapping positions with that Ember Spirit. Most of the time it's Juggernaut to get the ban out, and we have a couple of Ember Spirits get through, or vice versa, but the variability isn't going to be impacting it too much. VG Gaming Potential, their last pick, should be looking for maybe a supporting hero. Who knows what this Tusk is going to actually end up against a Shadow Shaman, Juggernaut, potential Wyvern, Tri-Lane. It's not really going to be a fun lane for anyone, but maybe they're just going to put the Tusk down there and say, okay, you know what, that's good enough. In which case, what are they actually looking for? Someone like Alina would be really nice right now. Unfortunately, she's banned. Some sort of combo here with the Rubik.
Yeah, I don't see any immediately that come to mind. As far as 11's hero pool, I looked through his recent competitive matches, and he's been playing a lot of offlane utility Kunkka, and I'd love to see it, but I'm not sure if that's something that VG Gaming are really interested in running, although could be interesting.
Dude, I think Kunkka is just, like, such an underrated hero. His boat is freaking insane. Like, it does so much freaking damage, and that rum buff is so good also, but I don't know, he's just kind of in an awkward position where you really need to do well early game. You have to get those levels up, and versus, like, a mid laner, like a Shadow Fiend or a Queen of Pain or a Leshrac, he's just not going to win, so... Man, I would love to see it. It would be pretty nice here, but I don't know. Maybe 11 is pushing in the TeamSpeak or Skype or whatever they're in, and the rest of the team's like, no, we haven't picked Kunkka a single time in this tournament or recently, and we won't start now.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, no matter what it's going to be coming out shortly for VG Gaming Potential, but their draft is still very well-rounded. They have a lot of powerful individual heroes, although they are a tad on the squishy side. If the Shadow Fiend or the Juggernaut get out of control, things could get hairy. Let's see, 3, 2, 1, it's a Witch Doctor for them, so it looks like it is just an offlane Tusk.
Nah, that was a little bit boring after... considering a hero like Kunkka, but hey, it's a Witch Doctor, and it's a stun to follow the Rubik stun. It's not exactly a stun that requires setup in that cask, but that's not necessarily going to stop a Witch Doctor ever. Newbee Young, they are still kind of stretched in CC, and Witch Doctor is a kind of unique support hero in the regard that he does demand that you actually save some form of crowd control in order to deal with that Death Ward. Either that, or you need to be very flexible with how you position the fight, and the mobility on Newbee Young is okay with the Surge and the Darkseer, but if they burn all their CC trying to lock down a Storm Spirit as they should, or you would expect them to, then someone like a Witch Doctor can very easily sneak in there with the Death Ward.
Well, to introduce our lineups on the dire side is VG Gaming Potential. Their stand-in 11's going to be handling the Tusk going offlane. Supports Witch Doctor. Dogfights will be playing on that hero. Rubik handled by James. Safely farming Gyrocopter by XLL. And last but not least, Storm Spirit by Yang.
And on the Newbee Young side, Piao is going to be playing the Juggernaut and Melody Lovers on the Winter Wyvern. SC is going to be playing the Shadow Fiend with Mur on the Shadow Shaman. Where the hell did the last hero go? He's up towards top. It's Uwe on the Darkseer, and it looks like they're going to see him. They have the lift, but that's not going to be worth the mana spent. It's a Darkseer. You're probably not going to get that kill. Guys, this stream is supported by esportgaming.com. Be sure to check them out. They have odds right now. People who are thinking Newbee Young have the slight favorite, and I don't really know if that's going to be the case. But then again, with the stand-in, who really knows? So check them out. And we will have one final Immortal giveaway after the stream. One viewer, one sub. You're going to be getting one Immortal apiece, so stick around for that. That's going to be happening after the Grand Finals, and it may or may not be hyped depending on how the Grand Finals actually go, but that's enough about that. It's going to be Game 1 start, and there's already a start of a Sentry that will get rid of the ward that was blocking off the Newbee Young camp.
Begins.
Although that's usually not that relevant, Shadow Fiend gets the last hit, and that's a soul to start him off.
It's one soul. Yeah, as you said, it's sometimes relevant, sometimes not. The base damage right now, 54 for the Storm, and a little bit more now for the Shadow Fiend. I don't really know if it's going to make a huge difference, but it is nice just to have a little bit of extra damage. This is where Shadow Fiend is at his weakest, trying to get these first couple of souls. And if he gets one or two more, then this lane suddenly becomes really nasty for the Storm Spirit. He can't trade effectively with the Shadow Fiend, even with the overload damage that he will eventually get.
Yeah, as far as our other lanes are concerned, bottom lane, the Tusk is going to be thrown to the dogs. This is a very dangerous tri lane, especially once you get more points up for the Shadow Shaman. They'll open up with the Shackles, put a lot of damage into 11, try to run him down. He'll snowball forward, and that's the only way he can go. He's going to the first creep, 11 trying to run away, and he will succeed, but in the meantime, it's the Darkseer to die. These offlaners not having a good time, both eating a lot of damage just from the Rod Disable combinations of both teams.
And that was well played by 11, snowballing the creep there instead of snowballing any hero, which is usually just the reflex of Tusk players. And he actually gets himself a very short snowball, so basically just using that for the immunity. Unfortunately for the Darkseer, he does have a tool that he can use similarly in that surge, but he doesn't have it yet. So Ion Shell definitely not going to help him in that regard. Sorry for missing that, guys, but you could probably imagine what happens. Rocket Barrage only level 1, yet still they have a cask, they have a lift up, and they have a lot of damage on this Darkseer. SC, he does not have his bottle just yet, and it looks like Dogfights is going to look to intercept that one. But it's probably not going to happen. He is going to be forced out of his lane super early on. Once you get a Soul Ring, you can return as the Darkseer, but for right now, this top lane is just inhospitable for him and anyone else.
Yeah, he's going to be forced to eat through his salve, and he's going to rotate into the jungle. This is something he can do as Darkseer, and he does have his Stout Shield. So it should be pretty easy for him to get a little bit of farm and experience. James up top going to sit on the Bounty Rune for the Storm Spirit. In the meantime, there's your Courier walking out. Witch Doctor coming in. Intercept course. He needs one more auto attack. He'll find it. The Courier did deliver its cargo, but it's really bad for the Shadow Fiend. That was his boots. That wasn't even his bottle. And now he's not going to have a Courier to get that bottle out to lane. Things get a lot harder for SEC.
I don't think I've ever seen a Shadow Fiend get boots before bottle, like, ever. It's nice, obviously, for Vici Gaming because they get the Courier snipe, and SC gets his boots, but is that actually super relevant? Like, the Storm Spirit doesn't have his, and Storm Spirit without boots is actually just a super slow hero. But still, I don't think that movement speed is really going to swing how this lane is actually progressing. The extra mana regeneration to spam out raises just a little bit more would have been a lot more relevant, I feel, in this lane. So SC kind of making a weird decision there. Yeah, I don't know, like, it doesn't really seem justified right now, and now he just can't get his bottle for another minute 30.
Yeah, that makes things really difficult. I think usually that wouldn't be relevant if the Courier wasn't sniped. Getting the boots first wouldn't change very much of anything since he had so much health regen still left, but well, bottom lane, they're going to open up with the Arctic Burn again onto the Tusk, trying to chase him down, but 11 will be able to back off. This Tusk is getting a good amount in lane, but less so than the Darkseer. He doesn't have a way to apply pressure to the Juggernaut's farm, and he doesn't have a way to get farm himself, whereas the Darkseer just spamming out this Ion Shell, sitting on 11 CS.
And Vici Gaming, they're spamming out their skills as well. Flat Cannon, even Fade Bolting the creeps, so the Darkseer is getting a little bit more momentum towards his end of the creep wave, and the weakness I see for this bottom lane of Newbee Young right now is the fact that Shadow Shaman does not have boots. Just that is the only issue. If he walks up fast enough, or if he gets an angle at which he could land a shackle, then the Arctic Burn damage and the spin damage should be enough to either drop 11 or at least force him back to the base since he has no more regen. But Shadow Shaman is, just like Storm Spirit, a very slow hero, 285 base movement speed, and actually coming in close enough to a now Brown Boots Tusk is going to be damn near impossible. It is nighttime, so you have a slightly higher chance of actually connecting with that skill, but still, it's not really going to be happening anytime soon, so Merv really needs to get his boots up. But at the same time, it's a support. You kind of need to be buying the wards, have a TP scroll, and all of that.
Yeah, it's not the greatest of situations for him, but even so, Newbee Young are getting slightly more farm on their Juggernaut and Shadow Fiend than the Gyrocopter and Storm, but not an insurmountable advantage for them. This is still a very even game, especially since Vici Game potential get the first flood. They actually have a slight gold lead and a slight experience lead is held by Newbee Young.
Oh, but they're going to be running into a Shadow Shaman 2v1. Shadow Shaman has Juggernaut right around the corner, but he gets trapped in the Ice Shards. He's not going to cast the Shackles just yet, and instantly gets interrupted by the cast. Bouncing back to Mer, 11's going to grab that kill. Now they're going to start trading hits with Piao. He has Phase Boots, so that's not going to be a one trade for the Vici Gaming side, but it will force the Juggernaut out in the end. Doesn't really want to be taking those hits at all, as Vici Gaming find a very easy kill on a very clunky hero in that Shadow Shaman. Up towards top, they get the lift up in the Darkseer. He's now going to run the other direction, and it doesn't seem like there's a great way for him to escape. He's going to try to man-fight with XLL, but that's not going to work. He's man-fighting into Rocket Barrage, though split between a couple creeps. XLL is going to grab that kill, and it's going to be 3-0 lead for Vici Gaming super early on.
Yeah, nice rotation from the Witch Doctor. As the supports, you don't expect that Witch Doctor to be making a rotation down into the bottom lane this early on. Oh, they're going to get another Shackles onto 11. It should be a pretty easy kill on the Tusk. He's going to go over towards the left-hand side. I think he's going for one of the supports. He's going to hit the Shadow Shaman, tries to run out, but not going to succeed. I think this is another situation where if he found an angle towards the creeps, maybe his chances are better, but even then, it's probably just a dead Tusk either way. 1-3, Newbee Young get on the board.
Shadow Shaman gets the gold from that. Now you see he does have the boots, and he will be able to make similar plays happen in the future. Piao is getting continuously a lot of farm. Not much Tusk can actually do about that, but even though Tusk did just die, he still has boots, he still has his magic wand completed, and he's still level 4 pushing level 5. It's not as high as the Darkseer, granted, but this Tusk is still doing just fine in this lane, all things considered. Most of those things being Newbee Young have invested the Winter Wyvern and the Shadow Shaman pretty heavily into that lane, and their return has been 1 kill, which is fine, but they've also suffered a death, so that kind of balances things out. Over towards mid lane, Melody Lovers is going to rotate in. Winter Wyvern can do very little up against the Storm Spirit with Ball Lightning, and he might even get caught right now. Cask will get thrown, however, will not bounce. Arctic Burn can return fire. It is a level 2 Arctic Burn, so the range is slightly higher. We've been seeing this occasionally from Wyverns, as they do prioritize the Arctic Burn over the Splinter Blast. The cooldown reduction is really the most relevant thing, I feel.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think right now the Splinter Blast really wouldn't have that much effect, so I can somewhat understand. Top tier 1, and he put it under a lot of pressure. Can Darkseer secure this? Denied. They're going to call down onto the ground, and looks like they'll secure the tower with that. Darkseer is forced to run away.
Usually Darkseer is not going to be losing his tower simply because he does have the Ion Shell. He's going to be continuously shoving the wave, but VG Gaming shoving a little bit harder. Have the Ring of Aquila, have that turned on, and Darkseer has been kind of juggling a lot in this game, a lot more so than we usually see from Darkseers, so it is, those two heroes on VG Gaming, the Rubik and the Gyrocopter, up against no one, and usually it's pretty easy to take the towers in that situation. So VG Gaming now with a kill lead, now with a slight tower lead as well. Net worth is working out pretty well for the Gyrocopter, is in fact ahead of the Shadow Fiend, and does he have any stacks to work with? Not yet, but he does have the Helm of the Dominator in the works, so he could be starting that very soon.
Yeah, and although he's not going to be CSing as fast as Shadow Fiend, he's been involved in a handful of kills, and he got both of them onto the Darkseer. So that's really nice for the Gyrocopter, and he can start being pretty active. With the maxed out Rock Barrage, he's going to be doing so much damage in these upcoming fights if they can find good jumps. And Storm Spirit does have level 7 now and can very easily set things up for them.
He has a full mana pool, a full bottle, a soul ring, treads, and quite a few stick charges as well. They're going to team up with XLL. You don't expect this move coming out from the VG Gaming side because Gyrocopter usually is just going to be farming, but instead the Rubik's going to take the lane as they try to go for an opportunity onto Piao. Ball Lightning in, spin immediately from Piao. He has no TP out, so he's still going to take a lot of right clicks here. He's almost dead just with the right clicks alone. Now the cooldown's there. Omni Slash is going to drop Dogfight's pretty low. Piao's going to die regardless. They will trade the Witch Doctor evenly, though. If they do snowball inwards, that's going to take out one. That's going to take out two. Both supports from Newbee Young down. Now they also get the pull back onto SCC. And now with another Rock Barrage from XLL, he will probably fall as well. Storm Spirit still has mana. One more raise will get the kill on the Tusk, but it's a 4-for-2 trade, with 11 getting a double kill. The Gyrocopter's early game damage so insanely high. Darkseer is in the area. Probably shouldn't be in the area. Although luckily for him, Yang doesn't have a ton of mana left. It's a huge trade for VG Gaming.
Yeah, both the Storm Spirit and Gyrocopter are going to collect huge. Killing off the two big cores coming out from Newbee Young at this point is really a big deal for VG Gaming potential. And yeah, as you said, that rotation is not necessarily expected by Newbee Young, but it works out so very well for XLL. He's now 3-0-3. He can go straight back to farming. Hardly misses a beat.
That was Newbee Young with maybe not all the heroes in the fight, but all the heroes committed to that fight's area. Whereas for VG Gaming, they had the Rubik, who is still towards top lane. Right? There's no tower really to worry about any heroes teleporting in on him, so he's going to grab his level 6 while that's happening. So not only do they win the fight, but they also win the secondary objectives, let's say, across the map. And now they're sitting in a really good position. Tusk has his buckler, suddenly with 10 armor and almost 1,000 HP is a very difficult hero to kill. Storm Spirit grabs 1,000 gold after that. Gyrocopter finishes up his Helm of the Dominator. And for Newbee Young, they lost absolutely everyone. This Shadow Fiend has Power Treads, Buckler, and the Tusk also has Buckler. So yeah, the Shadow Fiend's probably going to finish up his mech a little bit sooner, but this is an off-lane Tusk we're talking about. He shouldn't really be getting this much gold.
Yeah, and he's probably going to work towards Guardian Greaves at some point, and he has his Arcanes completed. This makes Tusk's life very easy to contribute to the rest of the team. And up in top lane, Dogfights is going to get a little bit of space. He kind of needs it on the Witch Doctor. He's only level 4. After one creep falls, it'll be up to level 5, but still, they'd really like to have that Death Ward up.
Man, I really like how VG Gaming are rotating heroes in this top lane. First with the Gyrocopter, getting him his level 6. You know, maxing out the Rocket Barrage doesn't help, doesn't hurt either. Then sliding the Rubik there, he has level 6 barely with just extra 16 experience. Then they're putting the Witch Doctor up there to get him a couple of levels. And with Newbee Young having no tier 1 tower there, going up here to contest the support getting experience is so risky because the VG Gaming side do have a tower. If you try to kill off their support, yeah, you may get them, but you'll also probably lose some heroes in exchange. So this is pretty much a free EXP gold lane for VG Gaming, and there's nothing that Newbee Young can very easily do about that. They have to sit back and hope that they're going to get enough farm and experience on their side of the map, and their side of the map is much smaller than VG Gaming's at this point.
Yeah, the Shadow Fiend's still keeping up, but it's at the cost of the other heroes on the team. He's able to farm out the jungle very quickly, but if you compare the Juggernaut's gold to the Gyrocopter, that's really where you start to see a big disparity. As his Morbid Mask and now can start farming up a little bit quicker, but Piao's not having a very good time. There's a lot of pressure applied. Rubik is grouped up with the Tusk. They spot out this rotation with an Observer Ward placed by Melody Lovers. I don't think that's going to be super relevant. Looks like both of these teams just want to back off and get a little bit of farm before going aggressive.
The Ward of Melody Lovers also does spot out the fact that the Gyrocopter is starting to stack up the Ancients. Has a triple right now and should be looking for quite a bit more. Newbee Young, they have a Juggernaut with level 1 Healing Ward. That's okay for stealing Ancients. Shadow Fiend is pretty decent as well, but probably, even though they do know about this, they can't really do anything about it. It's going to be yet another stack of Ancients for the VG Gaming side, and Gyrocopter should consider clearing this one out pretty swiftly. It's not looking that great for Newbee Young. Sitting back right now where VG Gaming are getting more farm faster is never a good tactic, and it's actually going to be a smoke first with James and XLL. They have the call down, they have the lift, they have spell steal, and there's a couple heroes spotted in mid lane. Yang has a regen rune. Oh, this is go time for VG Gaming. He's going to keep on using that regen rune as much mana he can get. And where is the rotation? It's coming.
From the right-hand side, the Rubik and the Gyrocopter there, they're going to zip forward, but not fully commit. Surge over towards the sidelines. They catch with the Witch Doctor. Dogfights is going to drop before this even begins. They go into Iwi, but with the Shackles and the wall down on the ground, 11 and the Storm Spirit are going to be dropped very low. The Shadow Shaman will almost die, but Horseshoes and hand grenades. The Requiem is going to be stolen by the Rubik, but there's already 3 heroes to hit the deck for VGP. He's going to get the lift into Requiem, but with the spin, it doesn't matter. A cool combination by the Rubik in theory, but not against Piao. That's a disaster for their team, mostly set up by the Shadow Shaman and Darkseer.
Man, one fight and suddenly we have a real match. Like, the Shadow Shaman wards, the Darkseer, his wall, like, you could see the position at which these spells were casted, and VG Gaming, they were right in the middle. That's never a good place to be. Melody Lovers also grabbed his ultimate while that was happening, and, well, that curse was definitely not exactly something that was hurting them. So, yeah, Newbee Young absolutely cleaning house, landing every single one of their ultimates. It's so very rare that you actually see a team fight that progresses onwards like that, especially since VG Gaming, they kind of suicided their Witch Doctor to start things off. He wanted to go in, but he didn't really have his allies in position just yet, so he got picked off, and the rest of them just ran into a meat grinder. Newbee Young just tied up the kill score. Shadow Fiend still on top of the net worth with his mech completed, was able to help out a lot more than that Tusk, who's still working with Buckler Headdress. Not too bad again, but not going to offer you that same impact. SCC, though, going to hit with Snowball, Rocket Barrage, and the call down. He's going to get a little bit of help from the Embrace, but that's not going to save him. Gyrocopter grabs that kill. Now they're on the warpath for more. They see a couple heroes down the bottom lane. Yang going to make a big jump forward. Overload to slow down Piao, looking for that pull. Can't quite get it. Piao's going to start TPing away. Is there a Walrus Punch? No, there isn't. So the Juggernaut's going to be fine, but Mer probably not as much. He's going to drop, giving XLL a double kill. And VG Gaming potential strike back with just vast numbers in the bottom lane should take this tower as well.
Without having the server wards at the ready, and they just now get their wall off of cooldown, it's a lot harder for Newbee Young to combat against that rotation again. It's a little bit risky for VG Gaming potential, and not a move that a lot of teams would make since they just lost a fight very convincingly too. But it works out for them, and I think it was, in general, just a good move coming out from them. Up in top lane, the Gyrocopters 1v1 versus the Juggernaut, but that's not going to maintain the case for long. There's a hasted Darkseer coming in from the river area, so I think Gyrocopter is going to back. But for now, VG Game potential are controlling the enemy woods, so get a little bit of extra farm and constrict some. It's going in Newbee Young's pockets.
I think at this point for VG, they should start thinking about clearing out this stack. It's right now blocked, and I don't know if they know about it. They tried to pull it one additional time. It failed, but at this point, if you fail with this many Ancients, sometimes it's just you messed up the pull or whatever. So I'm not sure if they have a read on that, but they should probably suspect that Newbee Young know about this. You can only keep an Ancient stack that's this big hidden for so long, so seems like right now they actually have bigger plans. They go for a mid-tier 1. Dogbyte's going to get into a fight, but he gets backed out by Yang, but he gets trapped suddenly in the Serpent Wars. Death Ward gets dropped, killing off Mikelorus really low. Embrace not actually being used even. We'll finally use it, but over towards the mid lane. Oh, well, no, it's actually going to be Rubik running into Piao. He will get Omni Slash to death. Mid lane, they're still pushing this one in. Here comes Ew. He has a vacuum. Level 2 will drag back 11 wall. Did not do much. The curse and everything else. That'll kill off the Tusk very easily. Call down, not going to do that much. Over the course of just a couple of seconds, Newbee Young grabbed 3 quick kills. These guys are going blow for blow, man.
Yeah, they are. 10-9 is our kill score, and Newbee Young are the ones to strike back. They do use a lot of their ultimates for those engagements. The Juggernaut Omni Slash, the Winter's Curse, the Darkseer's Wall, the Serpent Wards that didn't really do much of anything, but I think it's still fine for them. They're doing well. No, that's a Surge Shadow Shaman. He's going to try to bump into the heroes on the high ground, but the bigger issue is that they're stealing the stack. They don't have the greatest heroes to take down these Ancients, and Piao's getting messed up. Zipping from Storm, he goes in the backlines, but he's going to get hexed up. The damage from Gyrocopter is still pretty darn good. Requiem stolen by the Rubik, and he's going to cast that one from the high ground. 2 for 2 now. The Winter Wyvern's going to go down. Tusk still balling to the low ground. That's going to be a 4 for 2, and they'll find the Shadow Fiend after all of that. A double kill for the Gyrocopter, and again, these teams are just going blow for blow. This time it's VG Gaming Potential's turn to throw the punch.
That's such a huge amount of gold going the way of VG Gaming Potential. Experience the same way with Storm Spirit and Gyrocopter collecting most of it. That's big. Those are the kills that you want on the heroes that you want, and they survived. I thought for sure that Newbee Young were going to be taking that fight. Like, they have the Shadow Fiend with an Invis rune on the high ground. Obviously, you get a perfect Requiem then pretty much every single time, yet the rest of the team just couldn't hold up against the Gyrocopter's damage. The Gyrocopter wasn't really under that much pressure. You had Rocket Barrage taken away, he had to call down in a very clustered position, and for Newbee Young, they just didn't have enough to combat up against that. Even with the Requiem destroying the back line, the fact that Rubik stole that Requiem and returned it, probably a little bit more relevant than everything else that happened there. So, Dota 14 VG Gaming Potential squeak out a win. They also do clear out the rest of their stack. But man, Gyrocopter has 10,000 net worth 17 minutes into the game. He's getting such an extraordinary amount of farm, not to mention the fact that he has, a 706 kill score, which, it does help. But, man, if they don't kill off XLL, then Newbee Young will be in a really rough position. Like, they need to start reserving Omni Slashes for this Gyro.
And even Omni Slash isn't going to be the most reliable of tools. Juggernaut does have level 11, so that does help, but I don't think the Gyrocopter is going to be caught out alone very often, and Snowball can completely stonewall an Omni Slash. You're going to drop a wall onto Dogfights. Dogfights is isolated. Ice Shards are not. The Witch Doctor is going to go down. That's Omni Slash thrown out for them. That's not the worst for VG Game Potential, but it's still a kill for Newbee Young. I think that's a fairly even exchange.
At this point, Piao is going to take any kill that he can get, pretty much no matter what. Obviously, using Omni Slash on the Gyrocopter is better, but beggars can't be choosers. You take a kill because you are behind, and the Juggernaut, he's farming pretty well, all things considered, but just the fact that he's not getting the kills and assists that the Gyrocopter is getting, the fact that he is dying in the midst of these fights means that he is slowly but surely starting to fall behind. So Piao does need to take any sort of opportunity that he can get, such as this bottom lane push. Like, I feel like they could be investing a couple more heroes and trying to really go for this push. Shard's gonna wall off Iwi. Now he's in a corner. I don't think there's any escaping this corner fight. James gonna steal Surge. Not super useful now, but maybe in the future. James gonna get cursed though. Splinter Blast gonna drop James super low. Now's where the Surge is relevant. They get the lift on my Melee Lovers. Here comes XL, the Rocket Barrage. Melee Lovers gonna get torn to shreds. Darkter does slip out, but James does survive, and XL pulls another kill for himself. And with the Surge now in the Rubik, he has maybe not the best way, but a way of getting into a fight.
Yeah, it's definitely better than nothing. Up in top lane, the Storm Spirit will continue farming, even though he's picked up this Bloodstone and he wanted to go for a pick-off in top. They know that there's more than enough heroes to back up that Shadow Shaman, but down bottom lane, they'll continue the push here. Since the Shadow Fiend went for Mechanism, the Darkseer has been opened up to go for different items. It's going to be a Vanguard for Darkseer.
Yeah, Crimson Guard is a pretty decent item on the Darkseer. I would rather the Shadow Fiend go with something else and you get the Darkseer with the mech. I feel like that's probably a little bit of a safer distribution of items, but at this point it's way too late, so it doesn't really matter all too much. Tusk does have his mech as well as his medallion, and bottom lane push is going to force the TP of the Shadow Fiend. He was actually all alone, well maybe with Melee Lovers there, but VG Game Potential kind of getting mind-gamed out from the Newbee Young side. Top lane tower does drop, and VG Gaming, are they actually considering going back in here? They do have Yang incoming. with a full mana pool and an invis rune. XLL does have call down. They're looking for a fight, especially if they can get initiation on SCC. It's going to be really difficult with the BKB, but they'll jump on a melee leverage instead. He's going to get mech'd up. He'll survive for a little while longer. Call down onto a whole bunch of them. They get back and back into an Omni Slash, doing a lot of damage to XLL, but not quite enough. Now James has stolen the Omni Slash. Yang, he's caught on the front lines with no ball lightning away. He's going to get worked down super quick, and the ultimates from Newbee Young once again starting to win them the fight. James going to start pulling them back in, though. Omni Slash going to be returned towards Uwe. Going to get a little bit of creep farm, but it will be XLL to draw a double kill. Now to SCC, they're going to go perfectly trapping him with those shards. Snowball in, rocket barrage damage is there. No more BKB from SCC, though the healing ward is still doing quite a bit. He's not going to survive even with that. Now into Piao they're going to try to go. This Juggernaut does not have enough sustain, especially when he's once again walled off. XLL gonna have to fight through a wall, gonna have to fight through Serpent Ward, so it looks like Vici Gaming will pull back, but they kill off the Shadow Fiend. They once again keep the Gyrocopter alive, and that's gonna mean that he is that much richer. 10-0 and 7 now on this hero.
Storm Spirit does lose a little bit of Bloodstone charges, and the Witch Doctor does lose his life as well, but it's still pretty good for Vici game potential since they're getting so much for this Gyro, up to almost 3,800 gold. If he wanted to, he could buy a Relic, but that's probably not going to happen. XLL can go for some really big ticket items, and already he's pulling a lot of weight inside these team fights. But another big thing for Vici game potential is that the Tusk is getting a lot of value. The Ice Shards blocks, the Snowballs in. 11's performing very well. I think in general he's probably performing a little bit better than some of the other heroes on the team, especially the Witch Doctor. He's getting caught out of position a lot. Dogfights is very squishy, and he seems to be taking a lot of focus.
I think this answers the question of, is 11 going to be a suitable replacement here for Vici Gaming potential? This is loser bracket finals. This is going to determine who goes to the grand finals right now, so this is not the time to pull out some scrub tier player and say, okay, here's a Tusk, have fun, go wild. Seems like they found a pretty good replacement, as 11 is, as you said, doing some serious work. He's got the medallion and mechanism. Not much after that last fight, but it looks like Solar Crest might be the item for him. Together, combining that with the butterfly that's being built by the Gyrocopter, like Newbee's right-click damage is going to be a little bit irrelevant. Piao's going to get jumped over towards mid, call down. He's going to probably get blocked completely by the spin, but the right-click damage will not, as XLL draws that beyond godlike spree on the Juggernaut, who just wanted to get some farm in the mid lane. And now with that Juggernaut down for 50 seconds, some more towers are most likely going to drop. Newbee Young looking for a trade perhaps down in the bottom lane. And it's not something that Vici Gaming potential should really be looking to stop. They should be okay with trading this bottom tier 1 for a tier 2.
Yeah, for sure. This Gyrocopter is getting out of control. 11-0 and 7. He almost has the completed butterfly coming out. As you said, it is going to significantly hamper the damage output coming out from the Jug and the Shadow Fiend, although both of them are pretty good MKB carriers. Actually getting that farm is one thing, and they have different items in mind. Shadow Fiend wants to finish his S and Y, and zipping bottom lane. They find the Shadow Fiend, pull him back in. SCC has no hope with the Omni Slash on Rubik. They'll kill him off.
He only had that Omni Slash for like another 10 seconds. That's so much physical damage. Even though like Rubik doesn't have a lot of base damage, Omni Slash's damage at this point is mostly just the base physical that it does. Yang gonna get chased out. He's very low on mana, but he has a lot of backup right behind him. Curse on him, gonna keep him in place. Curse though, stolen by the Rubik, will be returned onto melee levers in a karmic response. Uwee's gonna chase down for Yang, trying to get this kill. Should get it. Oh, there's gonna be a suicide. XL now with the missile onto Uwee. Should be able to guarantee that kill in the back line. It's gonna be a fight. 11 gonna go way in over his head though. 1 versus 3. Gonna get shocked. Now Piao on the chase. 11 bailed out by XL, perhaps just with the presence of the Gyrocopter. Everyone Newbee Young, they have to run. It will be a 2-2 trade. A lot fewer casualties than I really thought, given the scale of the fight. Yet still, the Gyrocopter does survive, gets another kill, and they take down a Shadow Fiend. That in and of itself makes it worth it for Vici Gaming.
Yeah, the Shadow Fiend is losing so much momentum. Usually, Shadow Fiend's going to be the top net worth farmer in the game at this point, just with the power of raises for early farm, and he's not. He hasn't been able to keep up since he's dying, compared to the Gyrocopter, who hasn't died once this game. That's a really tough situation to be in. Vici Gaming Potential's aggressive ward vision is really good right now, although one of these wards is going to end up expiring shortly. They have tabs on wherever Newbee Young are, and it looks like they want to go for round number 2 up in the top lane. Full Butterfly flies out to XLL.
Oh man, this guy is going to be so hard to kill. If he gets a Satanic Nex especially, he is going to be surrounded by a Winter Wyvern on the top end, Darkster on the bottom end, but I don't really think XLL is going to pay that too much heat. Arctic Burn is going to start ticking away with the Urn charges as well, but if they overcommit onto this Gyrocopter, he's going to start calling down some missiles, and then things get really bad. It's also worth noting that the Rubik did walk away alive from that fight, so he still has Winter's Curse. That is a great skill to steal when the enemy team has a Shadow Fiend and a Juggernaut. being able to turn those two heroes against each other, especially since both those two heroes do have magic immunity, is a big deal. James right now is Winter Wyvern if Winter Wyvern was a really good offensive hero.
Yeah, and he has a Blink Dagger to back that up. This is a scary amount of initiation. I think BG Game Potential will be interested and looking to go for a tier 2 tower push, even though the original Winter's Curse is pretty threatening. And they are fighting against the full lineup coming out from Newbee Young. I think they're strong enough at the moment, especially now with the Solar Crest pickup by the Tusk. This is going to mean that the physical damage from Newbee Young is almost non-existent. Plunk that down on the Shadow Fiend, he has no way to take that off himself other than the BKB. And if you just wait until after that's expired, it's going to be really difficult. But a smoke up in top lane, Arctic Burn open up with the Winter's Curse, vacuum back, XLL and Dogfights dropping very low, and they will be able to kill off this Gyrocopter. They didn't have the appropriate forces to go for that push. That was only 2 heroes going up very far in the top lane.
The Omni Slash there is probably just going to clean house, but using everything else just icing on the cake there for Newbee Young. They take down the Gyrocopter, and that's going to give them a ton of bounty. It is Darkseer to grab that, which is less than ideal. Getting a Blink Dagger on Darkseer, though, is now easily in reach just after completing up his Crimson Guard, and it may be that VG Gaming want to go for a pick-off here. This is a bad idea. Yang gonna get in, get out though, right before the Shadow Shaman arrives with that Blink Dagger. James is wandering in. Okay. Well, that's not where you want to go as any hero. Maybe he thought he was in a different position, but that's a Rubik throwing away his life. Yang still on the run right now. There is no curse, and he should be just fine to get out of here, but Newbee Young, they're gonna rotate right into the Roche Pit. With Gyrocopter still down for 20 seconds, this Roshan should be easy pickings, although Yang has full vision. It's really hard to actually get in here and steal the Roshan simply because of the Serpent Wards. It's so hard to click the Aegis.
Yeah, they will buy back on the Gyrocopter. They want to look for a contention. They're on the high ground. They have a snowball into the pit if they want to, and they're going to go for it. Snowball in. They're going to stun it up. Aegis is taken by the Tusk. He'll snatch that one for himself. The Requiem channeling is going to be canceled for a little while, but he'll be able to return that eventually. Up into the high ground, Yang will die to the Death Requiem, but it's a double kill for XLL. They'll chase forward for Piao. He gets the Healing Ward onto the ground. They can't find him. Looking for the TP out. Everybody survives from Newbee Young except for the Wyvern and the Shadow Fiend. That was a very close call for their team.
Man, that Gyrocopter buyback, though, so worth it. He found himself in a position where he was outside the mouth of the Roche Pit, everyone else was inside, and then you're just firing away, dude. Just fire those cannons, and everything will be alright. Shadowfiend once again dies the Tusk. He does end up taking the Aegis and losing it, so it's a successful steal there from VG Gaming, potentially. Yeah, they lose their Storm Spirit again, and he's been dying quite often, but really, I think that even though Yang's score isn't necessarily the best, he's been doing so much for the team as far as just starting fights. He's been paying the price because of now a Blink, Shadow Shaman, and Winter's Curse from the Wyvern, but acceptable losses, just trading the Storm Spirits farm for the Gyrocopters, and still Storm Spirits farm is in a really good spot right now, so Newbee Young, they did have an opportunity there for a nice Roshan, but the Snowball, coordination with the Storm Spirits jump in, and the call down, pretty much all happening at the exact same time, is so much damage that Newbee Young were just not prepared for. They did not have their Omni Slash. Serpent Wards were already used in a less than ideal position. Now they're going to go smoke up for top lane again. This time, however, XL has adequate backup, although the adequate backup is leaving. So jump in, Hex backing back. Curse is there as well with the Splinter Blast. XL can't get a single spell off. Here comes Yang from the side. It's still the Gyrocopter surviving for a little while longer, but will get dropped in the end. And yeah, VG Gaming, they had their entire squad here right behind the Gyrocopter, but then a couple just wandered off to the right side.
Yeah, it seems like this top lane's just the bane of their game plan. VG Game Potential getting caught out again with the Gyrocopter and the Witch Doctor, but now lift onto the Juggernaut. They're going to pull him back in. They don't have the Orchid available again, and it looks like they won't be able to secure that kill. Snowball and Ice Shard's a little bit off the mark, and VG Game Potential, they won't find anything for now. That's very unfortunate for them that they lose their Gyrocopter again. This is space where the Shadow Fiend's farming up, and he's starting to bridge the gap between the two. He has his Sanjin Yasha BKB mechanism, and now is sitting on 1,700 gold on top of all of that.
Well, it's going to be the Shadow Shaman. Yeah, it's a fall, but the Gyrocopter getting picked off again. This guy is level 19 at this stage. It's a pretty high level, and he's worth a lot of bounty for Newbee Young. If they keep on going to that top lane, then they really need to get some adequate backup. They have an opportunity for SC to get a pick off on SC, but no one to actually rotate in time. Yang, he might run into the Shadow Fiend as he does grab the Bounty Rune. Looks like he will just fall back right now. If VG Gaming were, 5-manning this entire time, then honestly I don't really know if Newbee could do much about it. Granted, their ultimates are still pretty strong, but I just feel like, much like before, VG Gaming are strong enough to brute force that, or just have the Gyrocopter, just sit in the middle of everything and just kill everybody. Maybe BKB at this point for XLL should be the item of choice. He hasn't bought anything just yet. Maybe he's going to look to one-shot that item.
And for the Shadow Fiend's item progression, he's going to back off for a Blink Dagger on SCC. This is good for following up the Darkseer Winter Wyvern combination especially, but it is potentially going to limit his right-click damage inside these fights and delay a Monkey King bar, which will eventually come out. Ray's going to be stolen by the Rubik. That's not super relevant, but what is the smoke up coming out from Newbee Young. They want to go for some pickoffs, and this might succeed again onto the Gyrocopter Witch Doctor if they head up to that top lane. And I think they're going to find a decent jump here. The Gyrocopter's backing off, but it looks like they're on a hot intercept course. The Gyrocopter is very fast with the Flutter activated, and he's going to escape out of vision. If that was daytime, things get a little bit more interesting, but they'll find poor dogfights. This Witch Doctor's going to get ripped apart.
He's just farming a neutral camp. Not a care in the world. Suddenly a million heroes. It's okay for Vici Gaming, though, to sacrifice that Witch Doctor because XLL barely skirts out of there. I don't think... Well, obviously, because the Witch Doctor was sticking around, he did not see that smoke gank incoming, so he was just walking back to base as if nothing was wrong. So it's Witch Doctor to take the bullet, and that's actually pretty good for Vici Gaming in all honesty. It's still good for Newbee Young because they get the kill, and now they're in a position to go for a tower push. Level 2 Serpent Wards are up at this stage, and I don't know if Vici Gaming are really going to feel like defending right now. Maybe they're going to feel like racing is a little bit more appropriate given the low HP status of the tier 2 mid, but no, they are going to TP back to the tier 2 mid, smoke up, try to get a good angle here. But Newbee Young smell this coming. They're going to back off, and they're not going to get picked, not even close. So Newbee Young with the plays, with the outmaneuvering, are going to get themselves a tied game right now. It's very close in net worth with not even like 1,000 lead going either way.
Yeah, and same story for Experience. They're going to pop the smoke in mid as XLL will mop that creep wave. And they're still going for it. Tusk is leading the charge down towards the south, but Newbee Young shouldn't get caught out by this, I don't think. They'll Glimmer Cape on the Winter Wyvern. And, well, thinking about it, Melody Lover's going to throw the Arctic Burn and the Curse over onto XLL. Blink forward for the Requiem Wall. XLL is going to be vacuumed back in. That's a dead Gyrocopter. The rest of his team completely back off. Gyrocopter, if he doesn't have backup, has no right being there, but I really am not sure why the rest of his team wasn't there in force.
Like, if you move the Gyrocopter with the rest of the team, you don't lose any heroes. You could take another tier 2. In this situation, the tower gets denied. Your Gyrocopter is pushing a tier 2 by himself. Literally by himself. You don't do that, ever. Maybe if you have a BKB on the Gyrocopter, maybe if he's 6-slotted, maybe if he has like a 10,000 gold lead over the enemy team, but in that situation, like, what was that? Like, you don't do that ever. And now Dogfight's gonna get picked off as he stumbles into a ward. He's gonna get bursted down immediately. James gonna keep himself hidden as he does hide in the Roche pit, but now with 2 heroes down, Newbee Young have a chance for Raxes at this point. This is like a suicidal Gyrocopter play. In the past couple of minutes, it's been nothing but walk in and die for the Gyrocopter. And yeah, it will be Raxes now with the Serpent Wards being deployed. There's nothing that Vici Gaming can do about this.
Yeah, no buyback on the Gyrocopter since he has been forced to buy back previously. That's huge. For the Newbee Young side, Vici Gaming potential have just been leaking heroes over the past couple of minutes, and I don't think they can get anything on this retreat. It's completely unpunished just because of one lapse of positioning from Vici Gaming potential.
Yeah, overall for Vici Gaming, they have been playing this out pretty well. Like, they've been getting their picks, they've been using the Gyrocopter super well, until they haven't, right? Like, they, up to a certain point, just stopped playing well. It seems that maybe like all 5 players went up and had some random person replace them. It kind of seems like that because they're no longer playing as a team. They're kind of just all doing their own thing, especially XLL. He's very much so disconnected from the rest of his team, and it's going to cost them a pretty early set of Raxes. This game is not over yet, since the Gyrocopter with the Butterfly Sanjayasha lifesteal can hold against super creeps pretty much indefinitely, but if Gyrocopter keeps on doing stuff like this, where he's alone with nobody near him at all, like no one remotely close to him, then I don't really know if Vici Gaming can actually win. They have to make sure that Gyrocopter doesn't die, and he's just kind of asking for it every single time.
I think a lot of this comes down to how well the Gyrocopter was doing in the early game. I think it's kind of caught up to him, and he's feeling really good about his KD and how he was performing this game. But even though they were winning a lot of these fights, the Juggernaut and Shadow Fiend never stopped farming. You're getting close to an MKB on the Shadow Fiend, and a Basher is complete now on the Juggernaut. With BKBs on both of them, Vici Gaming Potential's fight is a lot less scary when you have this stacked Shadow Fiend and stacked Jugger. They're going to smoke up again. This time it would be a 5 versus 5 fight if there is any initiation, but Vici Gaming Potential will find the tier 2 tower, but there's still running for it. Piao's leading the charge. His smoke's going to pop. Little do they know, James the one over towards the side. With the Blink Tag and Glimmer Cape, I think the Rubik should be just fine. They'll chase forward. They find Witch Doctor and the Tusk vacuum back onto both of them with the Winter's Curse onto 11. They'll be able to bash down this Tusk. He gets a couple of misses with the Solar Crest and a lot more than he should, but not going to save his life. Newbee Young find another handful of pickoffs.
And just like the previous pickoffs, they're going to ride this one into another tower. James at this point does not have a stolen skill, so he is not easily able to cut this creep wave. That's really what you want to do at this stage in the game for VG Gaming. Just buy as much time as you can. But this creep wave is incoming. Perhaps a little bit slower than Newbee Young would really like, but you know what? They have Lifesteal in the Juggernaut. He's decently tanky. Darkseer can tank the tower pretty much indefinitely with the Crimson Plate Mail. And backdoor protection be damned. They're just going to go for it. It's going to take a long time, but still, it's going to be a pretty nice series of objectives for them as Shiva's Guard now being delivered, Douyu? No, not quite completed just yet, but they have the MKB completed onto SCC right now, so MKB now, with that true hit, is going to make that Gyrocopter's pretty old butterfly now, well, not as good, and the items are coming up in Newbee. The items, not as much so on the VG Gaming potential side. Lincoln Sphere is a nice pickup for the Storm Spirit, but he really just needs to just get involved with the rest of his team. Like, VG Gaming, they could still take a fight if they actually took a fight as a 5-man team.
Yeah, this time it's a lot harder. They have a Blink Dagger to work around on the Winter Wyvern, and even though Lincoln Sphere might block that for the Storm Spirit getting jumped, Melody Lovers has pretty much the pick of whoever he wants to jump onto. Between Glimmer Cape and Blink, this is a very, very mobile Wyvern. And yeah, the Shadow Fiend is getting out of control, and ooh, that's an Aghanim Scepter for the Shadow Shaman. The items are coming out from the supports of Newbee Young since they've been able to find so many of these towers and push high ground at a pretty early click, and that can't be replicated. Witch Doctor, although he'd love to have his hands on that Aghanim Scepter, is so very far away. His Arcane's Cloak, Wand, Urn, these are fine items to have on a Witch Doctor, but they don't really compare at face value to what the Winter Wyvern and the Shadow Shaman have.
I haven't done the math, but Shadow Shaman's ultimate upgraded with the Aghanims seems like one of the highest, if not the highest, damage upgrades that you could get. It pretty much doubles the effectiveness of every single ward, and that's pretty ridiculous. So you get a free refresher orb, kind of, with this Aghanim Scepter, and then you can get another refresher orb. Piao's going to get jumped right now. Walrus Punch is there to jump in. From Yang is also going to commence. He's still alive right now, not getting locked down with any CC. They take down the Rubik first. Now here comes Gyrocopter for the back end. However, Omni Slash going to drop him very low, super quickly, sitting in the Serpent Ward as well. XL will drop as SC does pop the Requiem. They only lose the Darkseer at the moment. And VG Gaming, they throw everything they have into it, but these Serpent Wards, the wall, they can't afford to fight into this at this point. Newbee Young stay alive with the Juggernaut, the Shadow Fiend, and now they're going to look for a second set of Raxes.
Yeah, a level 1 Serpent Wards with Aghanim Scepter is better than a level 3 Serpent Wards, and it's level 2 up for the Shadow Shaman. Those things hurt horribly, and now VG Game potential, no buyback on the Gyro, no buyback on the Tusk, and not even on the Rubik. It's Witch Doctor plus Storm Spirit versus the World. And this is, at the very least, 2 sets of barracks, and it's GG called out by VG Gaming potential. It was looking so good for them just 10 minutes ago, but in those last 10 minutes, VG Gaming potential, it all falls to pieces.
Man, I don't even know. Like, there are situations where, you know, something happens, and you're just like, okay, whatever, shit happens, we'll do better next time. Except that happened, like, 3 times in a row, and that directly led to them losing a game. Like, you can't really point to anything else and you say, okay, this right here, this reason is why you lost. In most games, you can't do that because there are just so many other factors to consider. But in this game, I think you definitely can. You could say, Gyrocopter, stay with your team because for the love of God, you're not invulnerable. And then they could have had this game very easily at that. It's going to make Game 2 definitely a little bit more interesting as Newbee Young, they do take the win. But off of mistakes from VG Gaming. So if VG Gaming can keep the screws tight, if they can, you know, actually recover and stay untilted for Game 2, then yeah, they should be able to make this 3-game series. But who knows at this point? Nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm Mikelorus. I've been joined by GrandisV, guys, and we'll be right back for Game 2 between Newbee Young and VG Gaming Potential.